My name is Bakiri Ruska. I'm a Gurrumpur woman from North Stradbroke Island, up there off the east coast of Queensland. I'm currently living in Victoria and was recently asked by Talwiri, which is the Association of Indigenous Law Students and Lawyers down here in Victoria, to debate on constitutional recognition and whether it would lead to better outcomes for Indigenous people. Now, I chose the negative team and argued that constitutional recognition would not lead to better outcomes. Our team debated that we should instead be looking at a treaty of sovereignty, that any amendments to the Constitution would continue to allow for racist legislation to be implemented, and further, that constitutional change would not close the gap and it would be purely tokenistic. Now, my question for the panel is, what do they believe will lead to better outcomes for our First Nations people, and what role does sovereignty have in reaching these outcomes?
Michael Mansell, would you like to respond to that young lady?
Yeah, because you don't have to have constitutional reform to prevent racist or overwhelming legislation coming from outside that has a negative impact on Aboriginal people. If you have an Aboriginal Assembly in Australia, say based on the ATSIC model, but you give it the powers of the state, and the federal parliament passes legislation to give that Aboriginal Assembly the status of a state, so it's still part of Australia, but it's just got these powers that it didn't have previously, then no one has the power over that Aboriginal Assembly to pass laws that affect Aboriginal people without that Assembly agreeing to it. So you don't have to change the Constitution if you have something like that, which is existing arrangements. The Assembly says, look, OK, we've got our own set of rules and laws that govern Aboriginal people. We can change them, but nobody else can. And if you had another state or a federal parliament who tried to interfere, you'd point to the Constitution, the existing provisions, to say, no, no, no. No one under the Constitution of Australia has the power to override this Aboriginal Assembly. The Constitution protects us.